Hey YouTube, what's going on? This is CheeseBoy628 here today giving you a tier guide to RU balanced teams. So, I've done only one tier guide before this, but it received a ton of positive feedback, so I definitely thought I would continue this series. So this time I'm only making a couple changes. The only change that you're really going to see is that instead of just showing a picture of the team as if you're going to see it in battle, I am showing you all of the different EVs. I put in all the movesets, items, abilities, etc. And it's all right in front of you, so I think that'll be more helpful in the case that you do try some of these sets out. So anyway, a team that I use often that I thought would fit this balanced RU scheme is my team based on Banded Bouffalant. And as you can see here, it consists of Bouffalant, Drudigan, Quagsire, Magmortar, Magneton, and Kabutops. So, let's see what makes this team so balanced. So the first thing that makes this team balanced is of course the walls. And here, starting off with the physical wall, we have Quagsire and Kabutops. And they also fit with what's right next to it, being bulky water. And the reason bulky waters are so important in this tier is because fire is so huge in this tier, which goes with offensive fire, which is why I have Magmortar. There are so many extremely powerful fire types in this tier. Moltres, Magmortar, Entei, etc. Typhlosion, of course. Yeah, they all run completely different sets, and you just never know what to expect because it can also be very diverse, and there's just not a lot of ways to prepare for it besides just getting something to resist those fiery hits. And I do only have 2 physical bulky waters, but I also do carry Drudigan, being specially defensive, which of course also resists fire. So that's why I have that defensive core right there. Now, you'll also need a rapid spinner because if you're going to have an offensive fire type, you definitely don't want to take too much damage as you come into rocks every turn. Even if it's just rocks, it doesn't matter if it's rocks plus spikes, but spikes would make it even worse. Hazards are definitely important in this tier as well, and that's why you definitely need a rapid spinner. And like I was somewhat saying, setting up hazards and stealth rocks are huge in this tier because there are so many pokes that are powerful, but they're all very frail for the most part. So getting up those hazards are very nice for revenge killing and etc. And then finally, there are some things that I don't have on this team, but I would recommend them. Having a ghost type, such as Spiritomb, ghosts are so important in this tier. Even if it's from NU, ghosts are just very nice because when pokes try to spin away, it's because hazards are very detrimental to their team, so blocking it is always important. And I'm going to get into it in the next part, but there are pokes that can spin and use Foresight, and Foresight is just where you're able to spin against anything, so be very wary in the case that there are 2 ghosts because your spinner may be doomed until you take out at least one of those ghosts. But anyway, finally you go into setup counters, because there are so many pokes that can just set up, and maybe after 2 DDs, 1 Swords Dance, you're basically toast. For Alligator, Crawdon, Absol, Gallade, they're all very strong and they can all set up very fast and be very scary. I know that I am very scared of Baton Pass, as a Ninjask that Baton passes into Gallade has swept me. I do not like Baton Pass, but it is still legal and there are certain things that I want to limit it, but nonetheless, I'm just saying right now, since it's illegal, you want to prepare for Baton Pass in some ways. Luckily, RU does not have any magic bouncers, unless you count Natu, which I really doubt you're going to find it in RU. But basically, you're going to want to have something like Roar, Whirlwind, etc. Or, since Whimsicott is in this tier, it does have Prankster and it is able to use Encore. And it may take a bit of prediction, just predicting when something is going to set up behind a sub or just use a Swords Dance, etc. But if you do predict correctly, you get the chance for the next turn for them to switch out and you to get a whole turn for momentum, for the momentum to completely shift into your favor. Now let's see what can counter RU balanced. Now looking here, there's not too many things, but first off, fast grass types, and even just bulky grass types, being Tangrowth and Lilligant. They are both very threatening in this tier, as they both have access to Sleep Powder, and unless you have Vital Spear on something with Magmortar, which is an amazing grass counter, because not only does it resist, but it does have Vital Spear to dodge that Sleep Powder, you're going to want to watch out for that, because that's just one poke that's completely asleep, and that's just one poke you can't access to, and then you have to switch out in some means, and they just have a chance to gain a lot of momentum through that. And like I was saying before in the other page, with defensive teams / having 2 ghosts, there are a ton of pokes that can set up hazards in this tier, but what I'm focusing on is Stealth Rock and Spikes. Omastar, Crustle, Pharaoh Seed, they're all pretty bulky. Take a couple hits and then set up a couple of hazards, which will be really annoying for you to switch out on since you are balanced and not hyper offensive. And then the rest of it here, Setup and Baton Pass, if you don't have Prankster, if you don't have Whirlwind or Roar, it's going to be a bit of a problem for you, as slowly but surely they will get their stats up and eventually sweep you, unfortunately. Now you'll also have to deal with priority, where Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan both have access to Stab, Mach Punch being at +1, and that is going to be something scary that you'll have to deal with. You just have to make sure you have something bulky enough to take a hit, and just be very wary of that. If you look at my team here, you'll notice that there's nothing that can really take a fighting hit comfortably. Maybe Druddigon and maybe Quagsire, but that's about it. Also realize that for a while someone did recommend to me to switch Reckless to Sap Sipper, as it actually should be a lot more helpful to me. Before it was Reckless to get all of that damage with the head charge, but after seeing that my Quagsire and my Kabutops are very weak to grass, it's nice to bring in Bouffalant, get that Sap Sipper boost, and just take off with a banded huge hit from Adamant Max Attack Bouffalant. So like I was saying, priority, especially a Sucker Punch coming off of Absol. Absol is so strong in this tier, and having a Stab Sucker Punch being priority is definitely not something to reckon with. So be very wary of that, get a substitute up or something, have something faster with priority, and you should be alright. And finally, Trick or Switcheroo. I see the normal Rotom and Manectric have Trick or Switcheroo all the time, tricking on Choice Scarfs to your own pokes that try setting up. It's never fun, it can definitely destroy your walls completely, so just be wary of that and try taking them out as soon as possible, or just go for an attack that turn. So that about wraps it up for today. Thank you all for watching. Let me know what you think about this video, as it is only my second one. I absolutely would love to take suggestions. Tell me if it was too long, just right, etc. As there was a lot I thought I discussed in this video, and it was definitely quite the tier that I have to discuss about. And it definitely went through a couple changes through the months, as Cresselia used to be in it, and it used to be known as a Stolly tier, and now in my opinion it's now the offensive tier. Also keep in mind that RU is a pretty huge step above NU, as there's not too many pokes in NU that are necessarily viable when used in other tiers higher than it. So keep that in mind. And finally, if I have one more tip for you guys, HP Rock on, for example, Sceptile to take out those offensive fire types, and HP Grass on things such as Moltres, the offensive fire types, because bulky waters are an amazing counter to them. So yeah guys, thank you for watching, like, comment, sub, and until later, peace.